In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, may thanks be to God and praise be to God and peace and blessings be upon his Prophet Muhammad. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, leaders and partners of our forum, attendees and participants, all with their due titles and positions, may peace be upon you all. The Kuala Lumpur Forum was established in 2014 under many complexities between two centuries, a century where the caliphate fell after centuries of gradual decline. And it was a century in which Muslims went through the hurts of decline, colonialism, and authoritarianism, and authoritarian regimes that were taken over and that took over the Islamic world under the nationalist urban nationalism, and then under the nation state and national agenda, and both of which only further fragmented our Muslim ummah. And despite all the specificity and the character of our education and other projects, these regimes failed all civilizational projects and made aggressions against the humans. This area, and since they even gave up Palestine, and ever since, at the same time, the other movements that countered the idea of secularism and authoritarianism started to work in universities and across all arenas in our homelands and in the diaspora across the world. And in this past century, and in this new century, rather, we started to become satellites and to give up on our resources and to lose our agency. And the Palestinian cause was not only given up, we have with this. So our forum, and the best expression of this transition from that century to this was the Arab Spring that was followed by a fall and a winter of counter-revolutions, and we hope that it would be followed by a new spring in a new dawn that started with the Aqsa Tufan, the Aqsa flood that started to call upon this ummah to take up and stand up again. The Arab Spring was an opportunity for Renaissance movements and awakening movements to start to revive the spirit of the ummah after the failure of all secular models of governance. However, when the people took to the streets, those awakening movements were not in the right position because they were countered by authoritarian regimes and international powers. However, and they themselves did not find the way to take their appropriate position because they found themselves after a century of decline before new demands, requirements for which they were not equipped and ready. And they did not have the organizational and structural requirements for in a way that is appropriate to the era. Despite all the achievements at the level of experience, they did not reach to the point where the Ummah would accept them and translate them into a way forward and a structured movements. And after the counter-revolutions, these movements found themselves either again subject to injustice and oppression and concerned with the uplifting or lifting that injustice or oppressed and marginalized with no significant impact on leadership, or they found themselves as only satellite to the authoritarian regimes, only were operating at the margins of the nation state and of the authorities that were obsessed with authoritarianism and their own interests. Ladies and gentlemen, under all these conditions that were countering our civilizational awakening, there were so many complementary initiatives that were trying to respond to the newfound challenges, including our Kuala Lumpur Forum, which took upon itself to work on intellectual renewal and revival, because no institutions, no thoughts, no school of thought is going to find a strong foot unless they renew their thoughts and keep up with all the developments, unless they renew the constants and renew the thoughts. The Kuala Lumpur Forum has used it as a frame of reference that ideas are both constants and changing ideas. The constants are those values and principles that define our identity and our project. And the accomplishment and achievement is by reviewing and renewing the tools and the organizations, the structures and the approaches through which we fulfill those values. Ladies and gentlemen, after a full century, the targets of reform and renaissance are starting to fruit with an awakening of religious and value-based systems and nascent organizations, including the Forum of Kuala Lumpur, by trying to keep up with the prophetic saying that after every 100 years, God sends an agent of renewal to this ummah. And this renewal is by asking the right questions related to the jurisprudence of the time and of the age, and also the jurisprudence of the state to assist in the governance, and also to gather as many intellectuals and scholars as possible from across the ummah to collectively answer those essential questions and make the necessary ijtihad, the necessary measures and renewal of thought, and to arrive at collective visions and ideas that work for all, or upon which all organizations and structures work together towards the common objectives, towards the honor of Muslims and Islam and the liberation of Palestine. We try to communicate our visions and our values to the governments as far as we can in order to reform the situation, reform those countries, and hold them responsible for seeing through the way towards the liberation of Palestine, which is only a collective effort of the whole ummah. We have organized 6 conferences, and this is the 7th, all of which focused on civilizational renaissance and the jurisprudence of statesmanship. And all of those, most of those conferences issued some recommendations that were translated in various languages, and we published them for various governments and various arenas for the leaderships and pieces of advice for reform. And we also encouraged individual intellectual pursuits through the Mahathir Award, which has sponsored dozens of researches, and some of which were published. And we have also worked on training on some ideas that we worked upon in our declarations in order to transform them into training packages upon which Muslim youths are trained in order to deeply root those ideas within these dynamic times. We have, of course, faced many challenges and difficulties, and we would not have been able to see this through and continue had it not been for our constant belief, steadfastness, and belief in the hereafter and in the reward in the hereafter, and the constant support and encouragement by our brothers and sisters, particularly the important support by Dr. Mahathir, the head of this forum. So deep thanks are to all those who have supported and been part of our efforts and helped us continue. Ladies and gentlemen, this concern with civilizational renaissance in our forum have shown us that this Ummah has so many prerequisites that qualify it for such a renaissance in terms of its spiritual and moral values, its human resources, and its strategic positions and locations. And there are so many other mercies and blessings that we have. However, many of them are paralyzed because of colonization and authoritarianism, sectarian fissures, and fragmentation within even one nation or one state, and which have made the main concern of many leaders of this ummah to hardly make ends meet and keep the resources and manage day to day away from the renaissance of this ummah and the liberation of Palestine. And this has left us prey to all the fragmentation, the sectarian fissures, and in the context of a world that is working in conglomerates, in clusters and unions, and we have found that this minimal approach will not take us anywhere near being leaders of this world as this civilization rightly deserves. Ladies and gentlemen, these circumstances have led us to a point where we almost want all but everything, with dictators who have taken the responsibility and for everything, and the role of societal and community-based forces was so marginalized at very limited, meager margins that were far from enough, and the Palestinian cause was all but liquidated and totally forgotten because of the international alliance, including Muslim leaders who were agents of that conspiracy, or just people who are afraid for their thrones. And we came to a point where we almost lost everything, but divine will moved, using the agents in Gaza, who were the fulfillers of this divine will, to revive this ummah. And things went all upside down, not only in Palestine, but across the world, in this heroic epic that is only ushering series of epics that will only stop when there is a full liberation. And that's the complete counter of the Israeli Zionist expansionist movement that is either us or them. So they have flipped this the other way around, and they wanted to take over control for all the region. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the battle. It is a comprehensive battle that started in Gaza, and our brothers in Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen are taking part in it, paying dear prices, including also Iran. And this is going to be a catalyst for the rest of the Ummah that constitute the majority of the Ummah to liberate themselves and liberate Palestine. And that's what we must be working towards. That's what we pushing for in order to make Palestine the cause of unity, the end of grudges and strife. And only then will we our way and find our way towards Renaissance. Ladies and gentlemen, we will go back through some lectures and discussions to addressing some aspects of this question. And then in a general session where we would identify our direction and orientation, and we will issue a declaration, including some recommendations that will be put forward for implementation by the forum and by our partners. And this conference is going to be the occasion on which we change the name of this forum from the Kuala Lumpur Forum to the Islamic Forum after consultations with the leadership of the forum. And we pray to God that He would use us and be pleased with us and make the Aqsa flood, as we hope and believe, be the last way towards liberation. And we pray to God to grant us with mercy and show us the way towards a comprehensive civilization and renaissance. And we seek strength from God, and peace be upon you all.
I would like to thank the Secretary General of the Kuala Lumpur platform for his speech, and I hope that we are here in the place where our words kneeled before we are here to tell our generations promise of afterlife. هذا نشيد جهادنا وعلى ثغور الفكر and on the ideals that we have, our struggle is, and we are our goals. This is the promise of our word, and our weapons are heading towards the same direction. Now we have the Deputy Secretary General of the Kuala Lumpur platform, Mr. Sheikh Hassan Ould Al-Dadou. يا الله العظيم كريمان. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most bountiful, and all the prayers and the blessings be upon our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and all of his companions and followers till the day of judgment. Dear colleagues, the platform wanted to this seventh conference, according to the circumstances of the time and space at the time, because it is the anniversary of the 7th of October, the anniversary of Al-Aqsa flood or Al-Aqsa Tufan Al-Aqsa. And for the place, they selected the capital of the Ottoman Caliphate, Istanbul, and which our Prophet talked about it. That's why you are here today, that you are under this honor of the place and time, and you are witnessing a new renaissance and a new revival of the Ummah of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that started with this great flood. And we can announce from one of the secrets of this flood, which is the secret of the people who were killed in this flood. The guys who crossed the border of Gaza on the 7th of October, the first one that was killed was a weakness or cowardice. So do you know this enemy, the cowardice? It has been on our chest and our shoulders for years and decades, but those guys who launched the flood killed the cowardice. So we are liberated from this cowardice. That's why this ummah is liberated by standing with the right side of history. And the ideals of this ummah is liberated from so many corrupted ideas that were constraining them. And its hands is liberated as well out of the chains that were chaining and limiting it to the dependency on other powers. And then another thing that was killed by this flood, which was, it wasn't killed intentionally, but its killing was at random, which was the call or the claim of human rights and the claim of international organizations and the claim of defending minorities and the claim of a global that protects the vulnerable. Claim is all just as salt dissolves in water. So this flood shows you the real this ummah, and it showed that. And I need to notice that the Zionist regime is not acting itself alone. So many of the hopes that were in the past on international organizations such as the Secretary General or the United Nations or others or other organizations. Now you have a proof that you cannot depend on the resolutions of those groups or therefore your brothers in Gaza have been sacrificing a lot. The first sacrificers have sacrificed a lot with their kids, with their wives, and with their loved ones. And then this amazing people, starting with the houses, the mosques, universities, schools, hospitals, and everything, they were destroyed, and they are still steadfast under the rebel, on the ground, in the tents, and they are still steadfast with this cause, going on the same direction. I would also like to thank our brothers in the holy Jerusalem and in the West Bank for the efforts and the support that they are providing, because they have provided or sacrificed also martyrs. The martyrs, all those who are falling in this flood, are brothers for those, but the spearhead of this flood is those in Palestine, in Gaza, and the 1948 or the territories of 1948 of Palestine, because all of it is Palestine from the sea to the river, and it will all be liberated by the unified effort of this ummah. And it's all Palestine also is the holy land of the a night journey of the Prophet and the journey to the sky of the ascendance of our Prophet to the sky It is all the blessed land. So every Muslim should participate in this flood and do whatever they can. And you have to know that any believer, man or woman, should not disregard any efforts that you do, because all the efforts that you are doing, you will be find the reward for those efforts on the day of judgment. And there is no doubt that jihad is the top or the peak of the efforts in Islam, and it is the effort that brings back to our ummah its honor and its dignity and its power, as our Prophet told us through the saying that was told by Umar, that the Prophet said, if you got busy with your trade and agriculture and you left jihad, you are going to be God will impose upon you humiliation that will never be put out put out of you until you go back to jihad. And jihad is a broad meaning, which includes jihad by your tongue, by your hand, by your money, by the weapon, and jihad in every aspect of the life of this ummah to protect itself, to bring back its dignity, and to protect its holy ideals and holy places. And the God Almighty showed us that jihad should be for the vulnerable and for the sake of God. And in the Quran, it says, why you are not performing jihad, and then you have a lot of vulnerable children and women and men. So this jihad should be performed, and this flood should connect the east and west of the world, just as Sheikh Abdel Razzaq said that from Tanja, we are all on one heart, and the entire ummah should contribute to this. All the free people of the world, all people who look for the ideals of freedom, all those who join or who have with us the genuine human rights, whether they are Europeans, Americans, or others. In all of these peoples, there are free people who reject this genocide that is taking place. And they rejected this criminal war that is waged against innocent people. So they should be to our side in this flood. And with the assistance of God, we launch this 7th conference in which we are going to have lengthy discussions that will be useful, in which we are going to see some ideas for the revival and the renaissance of this ummah. Thank you for listening in, and and peace be upon you all. In a time where globalization is dominant and cultures are intertwined, we to have a project to bring together the Muslim Ummah, in which the ideas can be revived in order to bring the honor and the dignity of the Ummah back. For 10 years, the Kuala Lumpur platform for civilization have worked on several issues. So we have conducted 6 international conferences, ideas, brought people from the nation. So there's a active, we have international education to 13 languages, along with several training courses and more than 50 webinars all over the world, and 170 scientific research from countries and nationalities, in order to provide creative solutions for current affairs and trying. And we have also the Mahathir bin Mohamad reward for different aspects, and those are the for over 4 years. We have several people received this reward.
مسك توطن في الأنحاء وانتسب أطفى
A
على
good
قومه
perfume
إبداعا
that
ولا عجبا
has its loyalty to the people of the good meaning are those who are providing support and who have reached with their heads the high sky. They have gave people or they rewarded the hearts with what they want, and they rewarded the young people with knowledge and with efforts. Now, we will start with, we have a speech by Dr. Issam Al-Bashir on behalf of the participants. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most bountiful. All praise to God who gave us the Quran and the scale for people to judge with justice, and who sent down to us the iron that has power for people. And all the praise and the blessings and prayers be upon the teacher of the mankind and the guidance for righteousness, and the one who brought people out of darkness to the lightness, to the true path of the all-wise, the Almighty God, Muhammad, peace be upon him, and all peace be upon you all for being here. And I would like to thank the organizers of this workshop and those who are in charge of Kuala Lumpur to prepare for this 7th gathering, which we hope that it will bring together the meaning of the flood, which in its linguistic sense includes or covers the meaning of thoroughness and depth, in order to be a flood for the entire Ummah, which means an increase of belief and creed, and in stillness of the conduct and efforts, and revival of the work and action, and removal of all the reasons of weakness and cowardice. This flood is needed to be a flood for the entire Ummah, to bring it out of all of these chains and constraints that have been constraining this Ummah for a long period of time. And the first meaning that is achieved by this flood is for this willingness to be liberated from being afraid of the created or the creatures and their power and their weapons and all of their earthly or mundane power. A poet once said, "I don't disbelieve in the creator. Why I am afraid of the creatures, whereas I am under the control of the creator, not the created." When you bring a good heart or good or courageous spirit, and when you say, if I attack back those who attack me, am I unjust when I do that? So this flood also brings those efforts, those ideals from the state of dormance. As the poet said, that if you are seeking or pursuing a high thing or a high honor, so don't be afraid of anything, because seeking a good deed is completely different from seeking a bad thing. This flood also is meant to bring us out of the disputes between the schools of thoughts that wasted our efforts and weakened us, bringing back the old historical disputes amongst the different school of thoughts or creeds or beliefs that wasted the effort of the Ummah. We must admit that we had that dispute in the Ummah, but the prioritization and the understanding of or having a good balance and starting with what is a priority we have, whether we to talk about the entire image rather than being busy with a sub topic, and that we need to face this Zion project with all of its consequences and all of its arms and the branches, because it is a threat to the entire Ummah and its resources, sovereignty, efforts, people. That requires us to be entrenched in one French, supporting each other, putting aside all of these sectarian, partisan, regional, country disputes to be at the level of this challenge that this Ummah is facing. And this should put us that the flood will be, or this Tufan will push us together to be in this trench. In the past, the Muslim scholars in the past century, in which the awakening created a lever and a revival for the Ummah at different levels and different circumstances. They said that this revival that comes at the head of 100 years is an individual, and they gave an example of Omar bin Abdel Aziz, who was the renewer or the reviver when he came after the first 100 years. So he was the just caliph who came after some kings who were not very just. And then they said that we might have several correctionists or several renewers or revivers within the same century. Each one of them is working in different walk of life or in different aspects of life. But today, this renewal holds another connotation or another sense. So it's not limited to an individual, no matter how educated or aware this person. And it's not only for the several reformists or correctionists that are present in different walks of life, but the revivers in our century, in our time, with all of the problems that we have, this renewal can be a group, collective, institutional revival movement. And if you are asking who is the renewal or the reviver on this century, instead of asking that question, you need to ask, what is my role in this revival effort? And I believe the Al-Aqsa flood that we are celebrating, it's the first anniversary. It should be this form of renewal in all of its form, in all of its shapes. Renewal at the level of intention and willingness, and the efforts of resolve and effort at the level of giving and jihad with those people who engaged the enemy and showed this legendary resilience and steadfastness that we haven't seen for a long time ago, and that liberated the Ummah from all of the constraints that it has. So this title, The Flood, is the head of renewal and the spearhead for this renewal for our era and our time. And hopefully it could be the lever for a civilization and renaissance of the Ummah that will bring it from the mundane or from the world of existence to the world of action. So we exist actually, but we have zero action or zero influence in in the world of today. So we are reactionary rather than taking any action, and we are suffering internally from the tyranny, and usually tyranny and corruption goes hand in hand. That's why this ummah was inactive, and we have seen backwardness, and we have seen weakness in our conduct, and we have seen also walking back, division, fragmentation. Nevertheless, this flood in being a catalyst for a change is working on reviving this willingness with the ummah and bringing back the ummah and the youth of the ummah together. And this flood is correcting the track or the path to deal with this issue. This issue have seen several disputes or defaults. One of the defaults is that the ummah was trying to support this this cause through the creed or the belief of the ummah. But when the 9 waves of crusades that came from the West, people said that the crusades is an undefeatable power. But we have found Nuruddin Mahmud and Zinki, who was called Imaduddin Zinki, and Nuruddin Mahmud were not Arabs, they were Turks. And then we had some who was an Arab, Kurds. So who moved those people to support this cause? It is the creed, the belief. And when the Mongolian East came in the year 656, until the Tigris River became black because of the boats that were overthrown or in the river. We had seen Qutuz who confronted the Mongolians and defeated them. Therefore, our ummah gets back on this track with these efforts that brings together all of these meanings. This flood has always showed us the heroes who have sacrificed their kids, their children, their families, and then they sacrificed themselves and they died. We hope for them the best reward in in heavens. They became a role model, thank to God, and we have steadfast on this track, and they were never afraid of the death until they have reached their objective, and they have become the stars in our skies that are guiding our roads, and we are chanting for them. They are young, strong people that are the well fit or the best fit for war and the best fit for courage. So these are the great meanings that have been presented to us through the floods and that we see in our ummah. And we want this renewal to be a lever of civilizational renaissance in the ummah that will put it on the creed that is inherent as God created us, and on the knowledge that is linked with the belief, and the result that is linked with action, good action, and the ethics that is linked with the human beings, and the body that is linked with the spirit, and the strength that is linked with the righteousness and the morals that makes life beautiful, and art that is committed to high ethics and beauty. When we want to hold a dialogue that puts aside all the kind of sectarianism or any kind of disputes, be it partisan, regional, racial, sectarian, and to be up to the current challenge that this flood is calling us to do, and which has been facilitated to us by Gaza and represented to us by Gaza as an existential war that we need to sacrifice everything in our hands and even our souls and the spirits until we reach the victory and get rid of this weakness of our ummah. We have people are praying in mosques, and we have people who are conducting the efforts, and in the Quds or in Jerusalem, we is being raped, and we are silent. Are there any armies in along the Nile or in Iraq? Are people praying day and night with all of their families in the mosque for that? Oh, you ummah of the righteousness, what are you doing? There is no other path than going back to our true, the genuine path of God. Hopefully, if we do that, we will bring back this a glorious history that was dominant on all of the world. When it will come back one day as spring comes back to the nature, and peace be upon you.
نشكر الدكتور عصام البشير على هذه
We would like to
الكلمة.
thank Dr.
والله
Al-Bashir
نسأل
for
تكون
this
فيه
speech, and we ask God to reward him.
دعي الأحزان يا أمي وغذيني.
Oh, mother, leave behind the sorrows and feed me with the passion for the land that with which my heart beats, and do not cry for our blood, because those tears are no use. Let me sacrifice myself if the invader comes, and let me offer myself in confrontation of that fire, no matter how it burns me, in order to protect the olive and maintain our voices in our land of Palestine. Oh, mother, stop being sorry. I have all those tears to protect me. Oh, mother, stand up. Despite all the wounds, stand up high and stand up tall and stand up for the olives and the children. I leave you now with the speech of the the World Coalition for the Support of Palestine and the Quds, Dr. Mounir Saeed, from the Global Coalition of Al-Quds and Palestine. Peace be upon you all. Assalamu alaikum. I praise God who has gathered us on a joint objective and effort to support the Mujahideen, to support the fighters. And I praise God who has made us live to bear witness to this battle of liberation and be able to make a contribution there towards that end, and hopefully celebrate victory and pray in Al-Aqsa together soon. I would like to say that this Zionist Western project that was tapped in the heart of the Islamic world, and for which all resources and empowerment was offered, we all understand that it's not about the land of Palestine alone. Rather, it is a project tapped into the heart of the Ummah in order to make it continue to be helpless, fragmented, and unworthy, and it continues to be so. The slogan of Israel, since it was established, and its flag testifies to that, with the two rivers from the Tigris to the Niles. That's the greater Israel that they dream of. Some naive people from our own thought that settlements, peace processes might give them something. However, as the days went by and settlements only grew, since the establishment of the Zionist entity, they worked on the subservience of the Palestinian people. And the Palestinian people continued to revolt and rebel, but they were like the waves with tides and ebbs. And the people of Palestine were exterminated, displaced, killed, imprisoned all over throughout the 76 years, the past 76 years. In the 70s or 60s, many of us might have looked at the Zionists, particularly those who are from Palestine and who went to their lands, and they would see the Zionists who would go into their own homes and who would live in and lead a life that's similar to our own communities. And those Zionists that tried to domesticate the Palestinian people until the uprising in 1987 erupted with a new wave and a new pathway of the Palestinian resistance. Started with Hamas, and before it Islamic Jihad, and all of this was reinforced with a joint pathway by all the forces of the Palestinian resistance. That uprising was failed and contravened in Oslo with a new shot of sedition and settlement in compromise until the year 2000, when we had the second uprising, Al-Aqsa uprising, Al-Intifada. And thanks be to God, in the year 2000, a new era of this ummah was ushered. Before that, there was advocacy, support, but it was rather shy and timid. We didn't have any serious tools and support on the ground. And probably it was because of the sedition, by the alternatives offered through the peace process and etc. And in the year 2000, the World Quds Foundation started to be and was founded to be the first popular headed by Mr. Hamid Al-Ahmad, who is amongst us today, and which was founded by Sheikh Al-Qaradawi, may he rest in peace. And they held unifying conferences from across the Muslim spectrum. And I am, the offspring of this cause, and all of our efforts failed earlier to make us hold an international conference on Palestine, even at the level of the Islamic world. But since the establishment of this foundation that was so unifying that it managed to hold many conferences, but in 2011, it was failed by the Arab Spring that deepened the fragmentation and confrontation between Islamists and nationalists. And ever since, and a bit earlier, as you know, we started to work through the Global Coalition for Palestine, which is only an extension of that rich precursor or experience. Actually, Al-Quds Foundation, through its organizations working for Palestine, have actually called for the establishment of our coalition. We have been founded since 2011. For 15 years, we've been working, and our coalition worked in partnership on the ground across the Islamic world. And the philosophy of this coalition is based on the assumption that working for Palestine is the duty of all the sons of this ummah, and that what is most important is for all the people of this ummah to work towards across the nation. And then we established networks on specialized levels to work on regional and international and ummah level. And we formed or organized more than 10 say that we noticed that there is a lot of giving and there are enormous efforts being made. You can hardly find a spot on this earth where there is no work for Palestine and Al-Quds and Jerusalem. And we see this even in the martyrdom of Ismail Haniya, where every city around the world held the Janaza prayer in his honor. And today, Al-Aqsa flood is supported across the globe. Thanks be to God, the relief coming to Gaza comes from across the world, from enormous efforts. However, there are those restrictions that prevent the complete fulfillment of those efforts. Actually, Turkey may be the most prominent or the lead in supporting the cause of Palestine in the Islamic world. And I thank God and I thank the leadership and the people of Turkey for this. And I thank all the Islamic world from Indonesia to Tanja, where all the efforts, the demonstrations, the voices are converging towards one goal. However, our battle, brothers and sisters, have taken a new turn. What was true before the Al-Aqsa flood is no longer suitable for our battle today. What the enemy was saying and declaring at the beginning of its foundation, that it wants a land free of its own people and that it must exterminate the Palestinian people either by expelling them or killing them. This has been reasserted today. The Arabs thought that normalization might protect them and that regimes might start new alliances with this Zionist entity, and that we must distract our people by new rivalries and new antagonisms away from the Zionists. But today, what do the Zionists say? They say that their path today is a new Middle East. Condoleezza Rice used to talk about this earlier. Now Netanyahu talks about putting up new maps, which he shows in press releases, press conferences, and even in the United Nations itself. It's no secret what he wants to do. So those risks are not something that only the Palestinian people or the Palestinian resistance must be worried about. It is rather a threat and a risk to the whole ummah. Today, brothers and sisters, the battle is expanding. We call for a halt of hostilities, of this aggression, and we make all the efforts to stop this crazy war on our people in Palestine and in Lebanon. But what do we see every day? Only more and more killing. The American jets do not stop providing supply lines. The same applies to warships and ships carrying the weapons to the Zionist entity in this war, that the Zionists are supported with all forms of support. What do we do? If the question is about Gaza, Gaza has been steadfast, and we hope it will continue. And they have offered miracles. But the Zionists are unable to declare a victory in Gaza. So they started this even broader battle in Lebanon, which is extending now what they're doing in the suburbs of Beirut. They're doing the same as they did in Jabalia and Shuja'iyya. They are leveling multi-story buildings to the ground. And in the south of Lebanon, hundreds of villages and towns continue to be shelled and bombarded. And the enemy thinks that they can see this to the end by starting a new catastrophe for the Ummah, the catastrophe Nakba that happened in 1948, 76 years ago. But this time, not only for Palestine, mainly in Palestine, but also because they still have the West Bank, also Gaza. So they're seeking to annex those too. So brothers and sisters, what I would like to say is that what we need today in order to confront those developments is to work on three levels. First, we need to work together, unified. Unfortunately, no country has started any initiative to unify the efforts of the people of the Ummah, especially Islamists. And we continue to work individually and separately, but this unification is essential. It is essential to start those initiatives to unify those who work towards the same end. And it's also necessary for us to reach an understanding with our own state to undertake a role in the support of Palestine. They might be helpless in terms of actual contribution or military engagement, but we must support at least. And we need the popular resistance and uprising. And we must agree on this and come to an agreement with as many regimes and governments as possible towards that end. This battle, ladies and gentlemen, is expanding. And this is the third level. And we know that this project is going towards its end soon, hopefully. However, those martyrs, those people who have sacrificed from here and then and there, they must be honored, and we must support them. Lebanon, first Palestine, and then Lebanon, and soon Syria, Jordan, and Iraq. All those countries around Palestine are going to be the cradles of a popular uprising and popular resistance. Thank you. I would like to thank the Secretary General of the Global Coalition for the support of Jerusalem, and we pray that he be rewarded. And we thank all our speakers and we ask our speakers to restrict themselves to 7 to 10 minutes maximum. Now I leave you with Mr. Mohammed Onai from Al-Insan Waqfi.
Bismillah. Elhamdülillah. Allahümme salli ala seyyidina Muhammed. Çok değerli kardeşlerim.
Distinguished brothers and sisters, and everyone else who gathered here for the cause, all of you who are coming from different parts of the Islamic region. I would like to extend my warmest greetings to you all. Welcome to Istanbul and welcome to Turkey.
Biz bu forumun insan ve medeniyet hareketi olarak Türkiye ayağında sorumlu.
We are responsible from the Turkish side of the organization of this forum. So this doesn't only concern Palestine or Turkey, this concerns the entire Ummah. And this, we believe, this event could be a foundation of all that work that concerns the entire Ummah. And with that said, I would like to extend my warmest greetings to you again on behalf of Human and Civilization Movement. Welcome. There are a lot of experts, just like you are, experts in their field, are acting, taking action to solve the problems of Ummah. Hopefully we will do that today here. Just like Dr. Abdel Razzaq mentioned, in the second and third days of this event, all of the outcomes of this entire conference will be shared with the Ummah and also with the entire world. This is not a political or economical or sports platform. This is none of those things. It's a platform of thought and ideas. So if this is not a political or a military or an economical platform, and if it is a platform of thought, then that means we have to focus on that, ideas and thoughts for Muslims. So if that is the case, this idea, this thought, is what we should focus on. This thought, a healthy thought, also brings a right path forward and a right discourse for us. If this healthy thought will also give us a right strategy, this healthy thought will also shape our friendships and alliances. Above all, a healthy thought is going to give us a right target to aim for. So thoughts and ideas are really important because of all these things, and not just the people in this room, but hopefully what we create here will help us in the entire Muslim world. And hopefully this will be a place where we'll open a door of that. So my request, my kind request from you all is that we shouldn't repeat the past mistakes. Of course, we take inspiration from the past. Past is ours, but if we repeat the past, if we try to dictate the mistakes of the past, we will not move forward. Rather than that, what I see here in this room is to make the past practices better and improve on them. So without repeating the past, just like my friend mentioned before me, hopefully, as God allows us, we will try to find solutions to our very pressing problems. And that will transform into strategy, alliances, and hopefully salvation. So if we claim and we exist, we claim that we exist and we do, and if that is the case, everywhere in the world, not just in Palestine, we have to carry out our economical, social, and jihadistic activities. And in this cruel race, cruel competition, let's not see the path as a burden. Let's take the responsibilities that fall on our shoulders. And let's make sure that our thoughts and ideas are really clear on this. So my request, what I want to say is that thought and ideas should also go hand in hand with jihad. When jihad lacks thought, then that means it's only war. And if it's going to be jihad, then the jihad will be shaped by that thought and idea. And lastly, we are going through very tumultuous times in the Ummah. And in that sense, I want to say that we should stand against Zionism. And I want to congratulate once again all my brothers and sisters who stand against Zionism and who do jihad. And hopefully after this meeting, we will see more and more examples, just like the examples we have in Palestine, for the salvation of the Ummah. So I wish you a righteous path in the name of God, and hopefully God will guide you the righteous way possible. Thank you very much. I wish you the best.
نشكر الأستاذ محمد غناي على هذه الكلمة الطيبة
I would like
كما
to
نشكره على
thank Mr.
التزامه
Muhammad
بهذا
Güney
الوقت
for his
والله نسأل أن
nice
تكون في ميزان
words,
الحسنات.
and I hope to I would like to
إلهي قد بكيت دما عليهم
my God, I cried for them, and my sadness have is breaking my heart. I am sleeping while my wounds are giving me a very hard night. I am surrounded with this feeling every time I see this miserable situation of our Ummah. I am the only guilt that I have, my God, is being a supporter of Islam and being a Muslim. Now we will have a meeting for the Ummah for the Islamic Action. Mr. Muhammad Brahimi will deliver his speech. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على النبي.
In the name of God, the most bountiful, the most merciful, and all the praise be to God, and all the blessings and the prayers be upon his messenger Muhammad. Peace be upon you, all the scholars, the professors, all the people that are connected deeply with Palestine, and all those whose hearts are connected with the support of the vulnerable. The flood of Palestine has started, and it's been years since then. 1 year, and the Palestinians have been waiting this Ummah to take to play its role, and it is waiting for this action that we're talking about everywhere very proudly. And today, after a period of struggle, and this struggle is continuing. We're not going to say that to those who were before us didn't do anything or they were defeated. No, every generation did what they can do. So we have a generation that liberated or brought the independence for our countries, the 40s and the 50s, and then the awakening. And today we are hopefully we will move to the state. Therefore, we need to pay attention, dear brothers and sisters. When we talk about the flood of Al-Aqsa, we should understand how it created a shortcut for us, and this is summarize a lot of things. The steadfastness of Gaza today has become a guidance for a lot of people. Now we have people who are converting to Islam without having any scholars or any sheikhs or didn't hear about Islam from anybody. They learned about Islam when they have seen the steadfastness of people in Gaza from under the rubble, thanking God, saying Allah is the greater. So the world, the people around the world start to see where is this belief coming from? How is this steadfastness is there? So they started to get into Islam. In France alone, and there is an official statistics, because in France, in order to convert to Islam, they need 2 witnesses, and this will be documented. 20,000 people in France alone converted to Islam. And the bright side of this is that the young people who are 16 or 17 years old, they need to bring their father and mother in order to sign a consent that they converted to Islam. So they come after the flood and they consent or they sign that their children converted to Islam. Today, the flood of Al-Aqsa, as the Sheikh before me said, it is fighting cowardice. But the most important problem that we are facing is letting them down. This state of letting them down is horrifying. People are not doing anything. They are not doing their responsibility to stop this genocide, although this flood have given us a shortcut and liberated us from things that we thought that it is a destiny. As Dr. Issam Al-Bashir, for example, said that we should not look at the disputes. Today, the flood overcome this dispute in the school of thoughts about Sunni and Shia, because people on the ground, those who are speaking about this dispute, so they are their voices are not heard anymore, because we have now people in Iraq, people in Yemen, people in Lebanon that are supporting people in Palestine. What do you call those people? What is the justification that we will find in order to underestimate those people? And they are sacrificing leader after leader. Now we see the bombing in their neighborhoods. Their sons and daughters and women are being killed because of that. That's why the Al-Aqsa flood accelerated a lot of things that if we have made a lot of efforts at all efforts, we would not be able to achieve all of that in such a short period of time. So we need the Palestinians, and so we as scholars, we need to look at that. If we want to talk about the civilization of Renaissance, before we reach that, we need to get rid of tyranny or this tyranny of the enemy. This is the most important thing. We cannot have a civilization of Renaissance when there is a project that is pushing us down all the time. And all of these plans and all of these schemes, they are trying to implement on the ground. But the nice thing about our enemy is that they explicitly talk about what they are doing. And they talk about their intentions and about their plans. Today, they're talking about the existential war. After all of this, after the arrogance they have, they are talking about a new Middle East, and they're starting to make fun of Biden. Even Biden is starting to beg them and tell them that I served Zionism and I offered you this and that. And yesterday, the Zionists say, you should stop talking about that because you're talking about things that are bigger than that. So this is the hardships and the difficulties, the challenges among themselves. So what led us to this? The flood of Al-Aqsa. Today, we need a new bay'ah or a new swearing of allegiance together, or oath of allegiance. Some they are, for example, in Al-Hudaybiyah oath of allegiance. They didn't. Our Prophet Muhammad, he said Muhammad, the Prophet of God, and they said we don't know that, right? Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, but he didn't concede for that, and he started to take oath of allegiance from the Muslims. Those this few number of believers is the one those pledged to our Prophet is the one that spread Islam. Where in the Hunayn battle, when those who left the Prophet of Muhammad and the army of Muslims was about to be defeated, the Prophet started to call, where are those who pledged at the tree, in the well-known pledge of the tree, and they supported our Prophet. So for Palestine, we have always been saying that we are supporting Palestine with our spirits, and we are supporting it with everything. And when the battle started, what have we done? In the early months, if you remember, for example, we were praying for the Ummah, we were praying for Allah to defeat the enemy, and then they started the demands, and the words that have been made are different, and you know the importance of the words that I said. One word might put you in the fire hell in the afterlife, or one word can put you in the heavens. If you remember, a woman, that is the title of the owner of this ummah. This is a story from history where she started to this woman from Gaza who started to say, "Oh, Prophet of Muhammad, don't give." don't apologize or don't seek apology for this ummah, because they have let us down. And the man who lost all of his family as he was burying them, he told God, tell God and tell our prophet that that the ummah who says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah let us down. Allah, please let them down on the judgment day. He didn't pray to God to let us in this life. He prayed against us to be let down on the judgment day, on that horrific day. And this is, don't you know that the prayer of the person who is dealt unjustly has no barriers between him and God? Don't you know that their prayers are answered?
ويسمع شكوتها ويناديها
So this is
ويعطيها عهدا
the ummah,
بصفتين عظيمتين
and there is a pledge for the female relative when she asks God, and the God said, with my almightiness I will support you. Now, you know that with the communication technology that we have now, it shortens all the distances. So we need to communicate our declaration to make them happy as they are confronting the enemy on the ground, because our conference today is in a very critical day. Yesterday, there was an attack on the north of Gaza. There is no mercy at all. Since the beginning of the 7th of October, yesterday was the heaviest day. And the Zionist attack on the southern suburb of Lebanon, where Hezbollah, in Hezbollah's stronghold. So the last night, 6 hours of bombardment. And then, so after all of that, when they look at us and they see that they have brothers and sisters from different places in the world, they are meeting here in support of Al-Aqsa, so they will be looking up to the outputs of this conference. So the outputs of this conference should be up to their expectations from us. And so we need to find the path to dismantle this Zionism that is killing everything. Animals, humans, trees, and everything. Everything is seeking for help today under Palestine from this Zionism. So I hope that that God can assist us to bring some joy and happiness for the steadfast brothers who are on the ground, writing history with their sacrifices, and who gave us shortcuts to come back to our actual status in the world. We ask the Almighty God, the Almighty Allah, to cover us with the verses that were read or recited at the beginning of this conference, in order not to feel burdened and hurt. And if we are hurt and in pain, so they are also in hurt and pain, but we wait from a reward from God that they can never aspire for. And
لكي تغيظه ولكن طمئن أصحابك رسالة طمأنة بأن قتلانا في الجنة وقتلاهم في النار.
After the Uhud battle, the Prophet told Umar ibn al-Khattab to respond to Abu Jahl, to the leader of the disbelievers, in order to irritate him, and telling him that our killed people are in heavens and your killed people are in death. And may Allah brings us together again when Al-Aqsa is liberated. Thank you.
أشكر الأستاذ أحمد البراهيمي على هذه الكلمة. الله نسأل أن تكون في ميزان حسناتك. يا أيها الأقمار في زمن الدجى النور منكم ساطع لا يحجم. يا زهرة الأكوان يا رمز العلا شد ظهوركم في سماء تترنم. نحن الذين ديارهم قد هدمت لكن عزائم شعبنا لا
Homes have been
تهدم
destroyed, but
بالعلم
Muslim
والإيمان
permeation
نبني
cannot
مجدنا
be
وندك
broken.
كفرا ظالما
We
ونحطم
stand up
نقض
against
إياكم مع كلمة عميد
injustice and
جامعة
break
صلاح
it.
الدين
We
زعيم
leave you with the
الدكتور أحمد
speech
جواد
of
أجار فليتفضل مشكورا.
Ahmed Cevat Acar, the rector of Sabahattin Zaim University.
Thank you in English.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Esselamu Aleyküm ve Rahmetullahi ve Berekatuhu.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah.
İslam dünyasının farklı yerlerinden
Dear speakers,
hilafetin son merkezi İstanbul'umuza, Türkiye'mize, hepinizi
faculty members, students, guests, participants, members of the press, brothers and sisters, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Istanbul.
artık insanlık ötesi hiçbir şeyle izah edilmeyen bir soykırımın 1. yılını dünya idrak ediyor.
Today, we are actually going
Canlı yayın
through
şeklinde
the first
bütün
year
dünyanın
anniversary
gözlerinde
of what
orada
happened in
kardeşlerimiz,
Gaza
çoluk çocuk, hasta,
over the last year.
kadın, erkek, yaşlı,
Our brothers and sisters,
genç,
with any disregard to men, women, children, elderly,
okul,
disabled
hastane,
people,
ev,
disregarding all that, disregarding if the buildings are schools,
soykırım hatayı.
hospitals, whatever, disregarding all those
Birleşmiş
things,
Milletler diye
there has
anlaşıldığı
been
kadarıyla
going
2000
on
milletler
destruction and a genocide.
kafamıza
in
bir
Gaza.
yıkıp hurra, hurra
United
ederek
Nations can't do anything. They have been
İki,
clearly showing that they're taking sides.
İslam İşbirliği Teşkilatı'nda
Secondly, we have Islamic Cooperation
toplanıyor.
Organization.
Vallahi ne
They
karar aldık,
gather.
aldılar.
I don't remember what decisions they come up with.
Arap Birliği Teşkilatı.
So we have
Onlardan biri
Arab
çıktı,
Countries
İsrail
Union
gibi.
organization, and you know the results of their
Türk
efforts.
Devletleri Teşkilatı'nın var.
We also have Turkic States organization,
Oradan da şu
a
an
more recent organization with a few members. They also can't come up with any real solution. So the Ummah of Muhammad is in complete difficulty, and our honor has been
herhangi bir
stepped over, and it's on the ground. Dear friends,
zor görünüyor.
it seems like it is going to be very difficult for us to be able to
Şunun altını çizmek istiyorum.
solve our issues
200 yıl aşkın
in
meseleleri
these in the
İslam
conventional ways in
ülkeleri,
the system. So Islamic
ülkeleri
countries, Islamic Ummah,
kaybeden tarafta.
for years now has been
Biz
on the losing side.
yol ve yöntemleriyle
So we have been
Müslümanlar
trying
kendilerine oryantalist bakış açısıyla bakarak
the methods and ways of the Western countries, looking ourselves from an Orientalist perspective to come up with solutions. And I
evet,
think
şu
that
anda Türkiye
will
dahil
not give us any
bütün İslam
results.
ülkelerinde
So
başta İngiliz
right
olmak
now
üzere
in Turkey
eğitimi
and also in other
kendi
Islamic
dilimizin
countries,
dışına çıkardı.
we are
Yayınlarımızın hepsi
giving education
neredeyse oraya
in other languages, mainly English. We are
şu anda akıllı teknolojilerin
showing
geliştiği
a lot of
diyoruz.
digital publications in other languages. So we are in digital age now. All of our data, private and public data, is in the hands of our competitors or enemies.
Lübnan'da
In Lebanon,
Hizbullah'ın yönetici kadrosuna 2000 aşkın kişi
more than 2,000
cep telefonları ve
Hezbollah
telsizler üzerinden yapılan
members were
operasyonu
assassinated
lütfen unutmayın.
using pagers. Let's not forget that operation.
Bundan
What I'm
önceki
trying to
İsrail
say
Arap
here
çatışması
is that
ve diğer şeylerde
in the
Filistin
previous
Filistin
conflicts
bölgelerinde
and in the previous Israel and
Arap
Arabic
Birliği
world
İslam
conflicts,
Teşkilatı'ndan hiç olmazsa bazı yaptırımlar çıkmıştı.
there were some sanctions
Soracağım şey
that
şu,
came as a result of the
niye böyleyiz?
Organization of Arabic Countries and Islamic Cooperation Agencies. But we are in a very difficult situation. So this conference, which we are organizing the 7th edition of, and we come here and we say, civilization is gone. But we are in a position to find a solution, find an idea about why we are in the situation that we are currently in. So Islam Ummah should listen to God's orders of us acting in brotherhood and sistership. But we are not doing that. We are going against the orders of God. And we are divided by different sects, different politics, different approaches. If these divisions prevent us working together, which clearly they do, because we can't work together and none of us can achieve our aims, and our enemies are going on with their activities. They just martyred a few more people. They are occupying regions. We don't know where they will stop. So I don't want to be too pessimistic, but what I have to say is that our brothers and sisters in Gaza, they now overcame fear. May God accept and praise what they do and what they have been doing. And there's also a bigger picture. In Eastern Turkestan, in Myanmar, in various parts of Africa, our brothers are going through hardships and they are being oppressed. Those oppressions are not as visible as the oppression in Gaza. So I think we all should learn lessons from these developments. And I think there's a saying in Turkey, which emphasizes what I've been saying. And we have to realize that the Western civilization, and previous speakers also mentioned secularism, and currently I think Islamic world is becoming more and more secular, more than we realize. So we should save Islam from being stuck in mosques and in religious spaces. The entire humanity needs Islam. And other countries, not just Islamic countries, Northern, Southern American countries and other countries, and everyone who is a human, everyone is supporting these causes, and I want to thank all those supporters, because this is more than a religious issue. This is a humanitarian issue, and it significantly damages our hopes for the future of humanity. I want to thank everyone involved in the organization of this event, and on behalf of Istanbul Sabahattin Zaim University, I want to thank you all. I want to thank the Kuala Lumpur Forum. I want to thank Human and Civilization Movement and other organizations and parties that got involved. Thank you all. Thank you to everyone in the room. Hopefully, this conference will be fruitful, and our main issue should be coming up with unique solutions that will make us competitive in every field. So the current sovereign system of the world is coming to the end of its life. So God, hopefully God will show us the right way and allow us to stay away from harmful activities. Hopefully God will allow us to prevail in our activities and in our brotherhood.
Hak için, inançları için, Allah için,
So I wish,
bütün şehitlerimizin
I also
şehadetini Rabbimiz kabulünü diliyor.
wish that God will accept the martyrdom of all those fallen heroes. Thank you very much.
نشكر الدكتور أحمد جواد أجار على هذه الكلمة الطيبة، والله نسأل أن تكون في ميزان حسناته.
Mr. Acar for his speech and
ثبت جذورك في التراب فأنت باق ها هنا.
put your roots in this land.
يا فتى هذه البلاد بلادنا.
This is your land.
هم
This
شهادة
is
لا يعلمون
our
بأن
country.
وطنك
They
خالد.
know nothing and they don't understand that your homeland is
إن وراءك
eternal,
كلنا.
and you shall stand
كم من شهيد
fast,
قدموا
and you
أرواحهم
shall
من أجل
stand
تحقيق اليقين.
through how many have
يا صاحب
sacrificed their
الأرض
lives
تصل.
towards the truth. Oh, the owner of this land, steadfast, stand fast. This is your honor and the honor of the pious. From Gaza, come from God and the tycoon. Put the roses of your heart to that secret dawn. They are the light of the morning, and they are the moon in the dark night. They are pious, the honorable, the determined. They are those whom the Arabs cannot put up with, and who are the glimpse of hope, who are generous with their blood, who are honorable and respected.
يتسابقون إلى الشهادة حفلا.
They compete towards martyrdom. As though it is a source of life. Have you seen leaders of another nation like themselves whose lives are paid cheap towards the renaissance of that ummah? They've offered their bodies as bridges. Free people would pass, and they stood fast as their oppressors have fallen, and their heaven and the heaven of their oppressors will be the hell the year after, and the death is already written. What's a distance between a doctrine that comes from Almighty God and that comes from the dollar? We leave you with Mr. Osama Hamdan to speak on behalf of Palestinian resistance. In the God the merciful, the compassionate, may praise be and thanks be to God, and may the rewards be to the pious, and the repercussions be upon the oppressors, and peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad, our leader and role model, and his family and companions. Assalamu alaikum. It was the Prophet Muhammad, the seal and the last of the messengers, and for his ummah to be the middle that bears witness on all the other nations, and hence the history of Prophet Muhammad was so special, because no prophet is coming after him to correct what corruption occurs, like Musa came to correct what the people did to the message of Isa, peace be upon him. And that's why God has pledged to preserve Al-Quran from any corruption. And it was the will of Allah for this ummah to follow all the rules and sunnah of the world. If they follow the path, they shall rise, and if they fail, they fall. But God has preserved it from perishing and has made for this nation some landmarks and milestones of revival. Whoever takes part in them and works towards them becomes a renewal who shall be the catalyst of the revival of this nation to take up its role as a leader of nations. And renewal is also rule bound and governed by the rules of Allah, and these rules might lose the balance if the agents and the humans lose their way or feel helpless or don't use their power. But we all confess that our nation, our ummah has fallen from the leadership of nations at the level of a humanity. For over a century, this nation, this ummah has been trying to stand again, and it has tried very often in many experiences that have witnessed successes, but partial successes that fell short of reaching a comprehensive, complete victory and success. And I'm not here to discuss the subjective or objective and external causes of that reality, because we stand today at a very important historical milestone for this ummah that holds that offers an opportunity for our ummah to regain its role and its civilizational duty, because the materialist civilization is running bankrupt after the fall of communism. We're witnessing today the decline of the Western civilization as it gives up on its humanity and expresses in the most brutal way possible how animal-like and subhuman this civilization is, not only through their criminality and injustice in dealing with other nations, but in the failure in terms of morality and values and its spiritual bankruptcy. The other issue that we witness today is also an unbalanced world order because of the Pharaoh spirit and mentality that governs this world order, that uses double standards, saying one thing is right and wrong at the same time, and puts a law and contravene it at the same time. The other issue that makes us say we are at a critical turning point is that we have accumulated failures and successes and experiences for this ummah that give us the opportunity to understand and scrutinize the causes of failure and the factors of success. And the fourth point is the rise of resistance in our ummah, resistance of injustice, authoritarianism, brutality, and occupation, which have confirmed that international aggression and hegemony will not be able to subserve the people and put them subservient. And no matter how capable and powerful they are, they still there is always room for success, and there's always room for resistance. And today, after 1 year of Al-Aqsa flood, this critical and important opportunity for the ummah is very clear to become the title of its renewal, because Al-Aqsa flood has uncovered the ugly face of the occupation and its backers, which have moved from being a civilization to a brutal machine of killing machine against all humanity, against all laws, should anyone stand in the face of their interests. And they show that there is no international law unless you are capable and strong and powerful. The uncovering of that ugly face and the falling of that order poses the question, not only for our ummah, but for all of humanity, what is the alternative for that materialist civilization? The other issue is that Al-Aqsa flood has provided the ummah with a revival of its belief in itself and its capability to stand up from the ashes, no matter the sacrifices. And Al-Aqsa flood has offered a correction of our compass and a better understanding of our reality. And we stand today before a genuine opportunity to redefine our allies, our enemies, and our friends, and to confirm that our aggression and our problem is with our enemy, not within our ummah. And the Al-Aqsa flood has also regained the significance of jihad, which is an important pillar of Islam after having suffered so much deformation by the enemies of this ummah. In collaboration, unfortunately, with many from our own who are either polluting or are too naive. They are so concerned to talk about jihad in order not to be misunderstood and trying to find justification and to say we're only defending ourselves, etc. Today, we have regained the true notion of jihad that is highlighted and glimmering in Gaza and Lebanon today. This flood has further made crystal clear the distinction between those working for the best interest and the cause of this ummah, and by those who are failing it, by those who are faithful and those who are traitors. And finally, and above and with all this, the flood of Al-Aqsa has highlighted the importance of the Islamic belief in building human beings, a strong and powerful human being who is capable of going through or seeing his mission through despite all odds. If we speak today about the suffering in Gaza, I can briefly say that if any one of us stands at the Rafah gate at the south of Gaza and you say عظم الله أجركم, which is a condolence sentence, you will hear the response from everybody, because not a single one have not lost a first of kin in this battle. Nonetheless, if you tell them to leave Palestine and despite all this suffering, you will have a completely different response. Determination and steadfastness, that's Islam. Islam makes the agents of change. Islam makes those people who are so powerful. And that's why before I conclude, I would like to tell you that the resistance is in good shape. And today, our concern, despite the importance of Gaza, should not be about Gaza. The resistance has lost its leaders, and there are new leaders in this resistance. There are new fighters on the ground. They are fighting as though they are on the first day of this long battle. And we have a people that's standing fast despite all challenges. And the West Bank, as we have seen in the Yafa operation, is mobilizing. And what's coming is even greater, hopefully. And this expanding battle begs the question, what are you, Ummah, doing? In the history of this Ummah, there were some moments of decline, such as the Paramita battle, who had aggression against the Holy Land in Mecca and stopped Al-Hajj and took the black stone, Al-Hajar Al-Aswad. And then the Ummah stood back to its feet and defeated that sedition. And also the Crusades who invaded Egypt and the Levant and started their own settlements and colonies. And then the Ummah stood up and expelled them from our land. And we had also the Mughals, Al-Tatar, Al-Khawarizm kingdom stood fast in their face for years. And they sought and asked for the assistance from the Caliph in Baghdad, who was so distracted with his own interests. And what was his fate? Was he was killed to death by storming with feet. And he who has defeated those Mughals, as we know in the history, was one of those who were sold as slaves after the Mughal invasion. So when we learn how they stood up to their feet, we remember the military aspect, and that's so true and important. However, the building of a human being, the civilizational dimension, the value of a human agents, and the importance of regaining the general and public interest in the general life of the Muslim masses is the main reason that created that power. So we cannot forget about Al-Azz ibn Abd Salam's role in defeating the Mughals and other scholars also under this crusades and Al-Qaramita. So today, when we stand at this turning point in the history of our Ummah, we seek inspiration. We must be inspired to move forward, because otherwise, this opportunity will be lost for a long time. And we might live in a few years to see a new map of this region. Yes, a new map of this region. And hopefully this new map, if we see this through, will not have Israel in it. I pray that this forum will be successful and that we have victory soon.
أسامة حمدان على هذه الكلمة
We
الطيبة.
thank Mr. Osama Hamdan
ما زلت
for
أبحث
his
في وجوه
kind
الناس
words.
عن بعض الرجال.
I continue to look in the faces of the people for the character of men, for those who stand tall like mountains.
وإذا تحركت الرجال
And
رأيت أفعال
if men
الرجال.
move, then you see the actions of men. But if they are silent, their looks are like arrows. They move towards perfection. They work even if it's impossible. And they reach the prides that used only to be dreams. I leave you now with the head of the Turkish-Palestinian Friendship Association, Mr. Hassan Touran. Please go ahead, sir.
In the name of Allah, distinguished brothers, distinguished representatives of the Islamic world coming from all over the world, opinion leaders, experts, guests, welcome. Also political representatives, movement leaders. I want to welcome all of you to this conference that we
Sizleri
organize in Istanbul.
payitahtta İstanbul'da misafir
It is a
etmekten
great honor to
bu
host
Kuala
you
Lumpur
in
zirvesinin
Istanbul
isminin de
as a
dönüştürülerek
part
İslam
of this,
dünyası düşünce formuna dönüştürülmesi
as a part of
ve
this
burada
Kuala
devam
Lumpur
etmesinden
Forum for Thought
duyduğum
and
memnuniyet
Civilization. And I am really
toplantımızın
happy to be a part of it.
hayırlara vesile olması,
And I wish
faydalı
that fruitful conference
hem de insanlık
with a lot
için
of positive results, both for the Ummah
diyerek
as well as the
aranızda bulunmaktan
humanity in
memnuniyet ifade
general.
ediyorum. Türkiye Büyük Millet Meclisi Başkanımız Sayın Numan Kurtulmuş,
Mr. Numan Kurtulmuş, the
sizlere selamlarını iletiyor.
President of the Grand National Assembly of Turkey, sends his
Toplantıyı
greetings to you.
gerçekleştirdiğimiz zaman dilimi benden
And
önceki
also,
konuşmacılar da
I got the chance to listen the speeches of previous speakers, and I listened to them carefully, and they emphasized a lot of important things. And one of them is that we are on October 6th,
işgal edilmiş
and tomorrow is October 7th,
yönelik Filistin direnişinin gerçekleştirdiği
which is
Aksa Tufanı operasyonunun seneyi devriyesindeyiz.
anniversary of the
Bu 7 yıllık
Aqsa
süreç
flood
bize çok şey öğretti.
that started a lot of
Çok şey
processes. This year taught us a lot of things and showed us a lot of things.
Cari düzenin
The current existing system in the world today and the institutions that system created and what all of that brought to us is now visible. We can all see it clearly.
binlerce on binlerce
We can
konferanslar düzenlesek
Organize a lot of conferences, we can
bu
write
kadar başarılı olamaz.
thousands of books,
Ama
but
bize yaşadığımız
we wouldn't be
bu
successful
çok
to
büyük
portray
süreç, uluslararası
what has been done in the last year.
kuruluşların bir kağıttan
We realize that all of these big
egemen dünya
institutions
düzeninin patronlarının çıkarlarını
and systems are just a piece, not more than a piece of paper, and they are only there to serve the benefits of the current system, and they don't help us at all. These systems and institutions, they don't help us at all, and it is clearly visible now.
Ve dağılmayın emri ilahisine uygun davranamadığımızda bizlere
And God orders us to stay together and act together.
inanıyoruz ki
And hopefully we will stick to that order, and we also believe that every challenge, every difficulty is also an opportunity. Hopefully we will
hem bulunduğumuz gibi
make use of this opportunity.
hepimiz bir araya
We
geliriz.
will recover, we will
İslam ülkelerinin
stand
yöneticileri
together,
olarak
just like how we are ordered by God,
bizi,
and as
sözlerimizi
the
ve fiillerimizi
leaders and representatives of the Islamic world.
world,
Hopefully we can join our efforts and discourse and actions so that we can
Filistin halkı
do the best we can.
slogan,
There's a motto, a slogan behind me.
Filistin.
Palestine, the linchpin of civilizational
Ben
renaissance.
bunu sadece
This
hükümet
is-
yanlışının öncüsü Filistin olarak belirlenmesini çok yerinde buluyorum.
Palestine
Ancak esasında bütün
chosen
insanlığın
as a
yanlışı
wake-up call to entire Ummah is really appropriate. And not just for the Ummah, but for the entire world, Palestine can serve as a wake-up call. Just yesterday, on the news, in front of that White House, which is actually black, represents black, but one person in front of the White House just set himself on fire.
Artık kendilerine gösterilen şeylere
we also-
kendisini atışıyor.
This person protested and set himself on fire.
Birisi
Before that, another person, an American soldier, in fact,
yaktı.
had set himself on fire and committed a suicide. In fact, he was a Jewish person.
Bugün sadece ümmet değil,
Today, so this shows us not just the members of Ummah, but almost the entire 8 billion people living on earth, those who are smart, those who are compassionate, They are standing up against the oppression in
Onlar vermeden,
Gaza.
büyük
This shows us
yaşamadan
that
büyük davaların zaferini elde edemeyiz.
without
Tarih
big
tekrar
sacrifices, without big challenges, you will not get
Tarihin
big
şahitleri
victories.
olarak
So we are
yaşadığımız
witnessing
yüzyılda
history
buna
as we did in the past,
yaşayan
and we are witnessing it today.
Üzülüyoruz.
Yes, we
Evlerimiz
are
yıkılıyor,
deeply hurt.
camilerimiz
Our
yıkılıyor,
buildings, houses, mosques are being
okullarımız
destroyed.
yıkılıyor,
Our schools are being
gençlerimiz şehit ediliyor,
destroyed. Our youth is
kadınlarımız
being
şehit ediliyor,
martyred. Women are being
hediyelerimiz
martyred.
şehit ediliyor,
Elderly
liderlerimiz şehit ediliyor.
leaders
Bugüne kadar bir yıl
are
elde
being
kurtarmış
martyred.
şehit edildi.
So in the last year, about
Ülkemizin
50,000
çok değerli, kıymetli
people
öncüleri
have been martyred,
şehit edildi.
including some of the
Ancak biliyoruz ki
pioneers and leaders of our movement. But we know that as the God, we know that we all come from God, we all belong to God, and we will return to Him.
Dolayısıyla ölüm bize ne yakın,
So
bize ne
death
uzak ölüm.
is not
Biz ölümsüzlüğü tattık. Bize ne
close or far away, as the poem said.
yaptık?
We will all die one day. We will
Kendi
face
yolunda cihat ederken,
death.
cihad ederken, mücadele ederken,
And I wish that God will
o
give us the
kardeşlerimiz
chance to taste this
inanıyorum,
death while on the
yolculuklarımız
way
şehit
of
oldu.
jihad and on the way of Allah.
Bugün şehitlerin bereketiyle insanlık uyanıyor esasında.
So because of these martyrs, now people are waking up,
Ölümümüzün ve yolun
which shows us that their demise was not in vain. And this clearly shows us that our
tüm bir dünyaya
way is wide open.
sabrın,
Today, our brothers and sisters in Gaza show the entire world.
cesaretin,
They show the courage,
insanlık adına
heroism,
ne kadar güzel
patience,
üretilmiş kavram varsa
and they show us great examples of
fiilen yaşantıları
anything and everything beautiful about humanity. They actively show and exhibit them.
gösterdi.
They are the witnesses to history. And those who can't see that, they are being embarrassed. So Gaza today is bigger than the entire world. Gaza shows that it is stronger and more powerful than the entire world.
Savaş kaybetmezsiniz.
You don't lose
Savaşı
wars by
yenilenler
getting
değil,
killed.
vazgeçenler kaybeder.
Those who give up
Ben size bugün
will lose the war. So Gaza today,
sana
despite being bombed
vazgeçmeyerek
every day,
yenilmediğini,
they don't give up.
yenilmediğini
By not giving up, they are clearly showing the entire world that they are
bundan
not
sonra
losing
hiçbir
this
şey
war.
eskisi gibi olmayacak.
From now on, nothing will be the same. I truly believe that from the bottom of my heart.
Kelimelerini aldım.
And I really underline and emphasize my word because I believe in that. And I say nothing will be the same anymore. Today, many of the MPs, representatives of the parliament, they go to European parliaments. They talk with all those people in other parliaments who are remaining silent to the oppression of Gaza. And in other parliaments of the world, when someone speaks up, when some of the MPs speak up about equality in Gaza, they don't allow that. And they still, yet they still talk about civilization. This clearly shows us that Europe is not a civilization, it is not humanity. And all the organizations and institutions they created are only there to serve their needs and serve imperialism. This is what we came to learn. Learning, seeing these things is an important skill. And when you see something and something wrong, and sometimes you may think it's right, you will not get results. Our prophet says what is important is to see things the right way. And we can see that now. So the attacks in Gaza now clearly show us the reality of the Zionist power and the powers behind it. Their actions showed us and taught us the righteous way.
milat olarak
So,
yaşayacağımız gelecek
God willing, we will learn from the things we are seeing today and we will build the next century.
güzel bir sözü var.
Yunus Emre,
Diyor ki,
he's in our heart, has a saying. He says,
Arkasını gören
the
yakın odur ki
eye,
başka
the
gelecekleri
eye that is an eye can see behind the mountain, and the mind that is a real mind can
görmek ve başka
foresee
gelecekleri bilmek.
what will happen to us. So we have to, just like this quote says, we have to see what is right there for us to see, and we have to
Siyonist işgalci İsrail
realize and conceptualize what can happen to us.
Sünni mi olduklarına,
As Israel is killing all these people in Gaza and everywhere else, they don't
kendi iradesi
see them as Sunnis or Shias. They just kill, disregarding any sect or
İsterse Hristiyan,
not even religion. They even kill Christians.
bizim inancımızın bize öğrettiği şey
But our belief teaches us
zulme karşıdır.
is to stand and fight against oppression.
Sonra %5 değil,
If you don't stand up and speak up and fight against oppression, does it really matter if you pray 5 times a day or fast?
Zalimlerine itirazla başlamış.
All of the stories of prophets
İtiraz etmeyen,
start with
direnmeyen,
standing up against oppression.
mümkün olur mu?
And are we really Muslims if we don't stand up against this?
Gerçekleşen hadiselerde Siyonist İsrail'in ABD'nin ve arkasında
So
duran
United States, Western powers, and the Zionist powers are attacking us. And
mücadeleye devam etmek.
this fight between those attackers and those
Biz
resistance
günleri
members are still ongoing.
esrabine, milliyetine,
Again, they
sitesine,
they just kill.
ayrıştıramayız.
So those who are killed, they can't be divided according to their sex or sect or
Ve batılı emperyalistlerin bombaları kullanarak
gender.
kimlerin üzerine saldırıyorsa o saldırıları yer bizim dostumuz,
Wherever
saldıranlar ise
or
düşmanımız.
whoever is being attacked by those powers are our friends, and those who attack are our enemies. They don't even hide their intentions anymore. They just clearly say they want to redefine the borders in the Middle East. Inshallah, they will not be able to do that. We will resist. So this genocide that they started a year ago in Gaza, now they want to do that in Lebanon. Our president mentioned in many of his speeches that our friends in Gaza, they are not only protecting themselves or Gaza, but they are protecting our country. They are protecting Anatolia. They are protecting the entire Islamic world. Our president said this, and he was right to say that. He clearly mentioned that the people in Gaza are now paying the price for the entire Muslim community. So if there is not going to be peace in Palestine, there's not going to be peace in the Middle East. And if there's not going to be peace in the Middle East, no one and nowhere in the world will have peace. So those who hold power now, if they want to bring peace into the world, their way is not the right way. It's a dead end. They will not be able to reshape the borders. In fact, they will lose what they have already. I truly believe that. As long as we believe, as long as we are not afraid that, just like those valiant martyrs who tasted death.
Düşmanım bana ne yapabilir ki? Ben cennetimi yüreğimde taşıyorum.
As the poet says, what can the enemy do to me?
Titrek. Hapsedilmem,
If I am
haller.
sent away,
Öldürülmem ise şehadettir.
It's a rightful way for me. And if I am being killed,
Rabbim
that
bu
is
bilinci kuşanmayı
martyrdom for me.
ve bu bilinçle hareket etmeyi
May God
hepimize nasip
allow
eylesin.
us to act according to
Bugüne
this.
kadar bu
And
bir yıllık süreç değil.
In this,
1917'den
in the past,
1948'e,
not just in the past 1 year,
8'den
but from
2024'da
1948,
özellikle
2024,
Filistin coğrafyasında ve ümmetin bütün
especially in the Palestine
coğrafyalarında
and
zulme
also
karşı direnirken şehit olan
everywhere else.
şehitlerimizi rahmet ve
many
minnet
people
dağılıyor.
we lost, many people are martyred, and I remember all those martyrs.
İnşallah onların yaymış olduğu ışık ve
May
aydınlık
God send them to
toplumumuzun
heaven,
ve
and
ülkemizin
hopefully
ışığını açacak,
the
geleceğe
light
gelecektir.
that
Onları
they
için,
started to
bütün Filistin
guide us
için,
going
Rumlar
forward.
için, tüm Lübnanlı kardeşlerimiz
For all the martyrs in Gaza, in Lebanon, and everywhere else,
Fatiha.
I want to say a prayer.
نشكر رئيس لجنة الصداقة التركية الفلسطينية في البرلمان التركي حسن توران على هذه الكلمة الله نسأل أن تكون في ميزان حسناته. نبقى وإياكم مع كلمة مسجلة لرئيس المنتدى الدكتور مهاتير محمد.
For this word in the Turkish parliament.
And
And then we will have a recorded message from Mahathir bin Mohamad on video. I think you need to go to that room. Türkçe burası. Olma في Türkiye. لازم.
Of the Republic of Turkey
أود
and Vice President of the Kuala Lumpur
أود
Forum
أن أشكر
for thought and civilization.
الزملاء في هذه المنصة وأيضا منصة السيد محمد حسن الددو أيضا نائب رئيس الائتلاف الدولي للعلماء المسلمين ونائب رئيس المنتدى الفكر والحضارة منتدى كوالالمبور للحضارة، وكذلك السيد المقري الأمين العام لمنصة الحضارة والفكر
Team leaders,
وكان
intellectuals and distinguished guests. And grateful that I'm given this opportunity to attend and share some thoughts at this session of the Kuala Lumpur Forum. Since its inception, the Kuala Lumpur Forum has not floundered in pursuing what it was set up to do, to bring together scholars, academics, and thinkers keen and concerned on the direction and well-being of the Ummah. I thank you for choosing the theme of this 7th conference, Palestine, a lever for the nation's civilization revival. I would also like to thank you for organizing such a diverse and rich program, featuring numerous distinguished speakers from around the world, both Muslims and non-Muslims, and for selecting the date, October the 7th, to coincide with the first anniversary of the Al-Aqsa flood operation mounted by Hamas. October 7th marks a significant day, as on this day, Palestinians resolved to send a message to the world that they are determined to liberate their land after their cause was nearly forgotten amidst the sustained blockade, expanding settlements, attacks on Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Judaization of Jerusalem, and the imposition of apartheid policies on all Palestinians. All these are supported by the West and the United States, while the Arab and Islamic states remain paralyzed and the international community ignored their plight. October 7th also triggered a global awakening as evidenced by student demonstrations in the US and European universities, and the stance of several countries in favor of Palestine, including the historic stand of South Africa, which supported Palestine and led to Israel's condemnation at the International Court of Justice for the first time. One of the greatest outcomes of this global movement has been the collapse of the Israeli narrative and the world's realization of Zionist deceit. All these developments rekindle my fervent hope that ultimately Muslims the world over collectively agree that it is as much a religious requirement for us to pursue the life hereafter as it is to pursue worldly affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, it is imperative for the Muslim Ummah to realize that losing out in this world merely to focus on the Akhirah will result in us losing out on both counts. A simple explanation is on the need to pursue wealth. If Muslims are wealthy, we will be paying more than tithe or zakat, which would directly be used to assist our brothers and sisters who are less fortunate. If we too are unsuccessful, be it in business and other worldly pursuits, we would not be able to extend our assistance to the unfortunate Muslims which, without hope, would leave their Muslim countries for the stability of the countries of the non-Muslims. It is a shameful indictment of the failure of Muslim countries. We have to impress this upon our Muslim brethren, that the reason why our fellow Muslims migrate to the non-Muslim nations, especially the Western countries, is because we fail to provide the environment as taught by Islam. While we pursue the study of religion and divinity, an equal emphasis must be given on pursuing worldly knowledge, especially mathematics and science. Muslims used to be leading in these fields, so much so that almost all present-day studies on mathematics and science can be traced to Muslim scholars of the past. Yet today, we are left behind in these fields, leaving this knowledge to the non-Muslims. We are enjoined by the Quran to protect the Ummah. We are unable to do so because we do not have the necessary knowledge. We depend on non-Muslims for the weapons to defend ourselves. As a result, Muslims now suffer from mass killings. Ladies and gentlemen, as Muslims, we are taught that we are brothers of each other. It is obvious that we ignore this injunction. Instead, we are not the brothers of each other, but we are fighting each other. We divide the Ummah into numerous sects. This weakens us and negates the brotherhood of Islam. While we accuse each other of not being proper Muslims, our enemies make no such distinction between our different sects. To them, we are all Muslim, and as Muslims, we are all terrorists. Unless we unite irrespective of sex, we will be destroyed one by one. Of course, we cannot accept deviants, but we should try to bring them back to the true teachings of Islam. Ladies and gentlemen, any discussion regarding the Ummah would be incomplete if we do not speak about the plight of the Palestinians, or rather, the arrogance of the Israelis and their dastardly behavior. What had happened to the Palestinians and the impotence of fellow Muslims from defending and retaliating against Israel's genocide underscored what I have detailed earlier, the disunity of Muslims and weakness of our nations. Today, when we discuss the Palestinians, we have to add Lebanon and Iran, the former attacked and bullied by Israel, while the latter had had enough of Israel's arrogance and impunity. In turn, as we have repeatedly said, the genocide committed by Israel is endorsed and supported by the United States and their Western allies. If anyone had doubts, the US intervention of Iran's retaliation on Israel proved that the Israelis or Zionists rule the world by proxy. Surely, the time has come for all Muslims to set aside their differences and accept that to the Israelis and the US, regardless of the sectarian divide we indulge in, we are all Muslims to them. It is also time for us to condemn unequivocally Muslim leaders and nations which support the US and Israel's military aggression on Palestine, Lebanon, and Iran. The least we can do when we feel helpless is to damn Israel, the US, and their Western allies, as well as Muslims who are complicit in their crimes against humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, before concluding, I once again warmly welcome you to the 7th Conference of the Kuala Lumpur Forum and to express my appreciation to the General Secretariat for all his efforts and making all our conferences a success. It has been suggested that the Kuala Lumpur Forum, since it has now become an established organization that brings together scholars, leaders, and experts from around the world, should change its name to the Islamic World Forum for Thought and Civilization to reflect its stature. I endorse the new name, and hopefully Muslim scholars and leaders from around the world would rally and support it for the betterment of the Ummah. Shukran wa billahi tawfiq wal hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
طيب. نشكر الرئيس المنتدى دكتور مهاتير محمد على هذه الكلمة الطيبة، والله نسأل أن تكون في ميزان حسناته. في معركة الطوفان بالتحديد
In the battle of the flood,
التاريخ الأول لشهر 11
of November
لعام 2023
2023,
قصف الاحتلال الإسرائيلي
Israeli occupation
بيت
bombed
عائلتي.
the house of my family.
استشهد الوالد
My father
والوالدة
was martyred,
وإخواني
and
وأخواتي
my brothers and
وأكثر
sisters,
من 30
and
شهيد
more
في هذه
than
الغارة.
other 30 martyrs.
هذه العائلة التي رفضت
This
النزول،
family that rejected
رفضت
to
أن
be
تخرج من
displaced,
شمال قطاع غزة إلى
refused
جنوب
to get
قطاع غزة،
displaced from the north of Gaza to the
بقيت
south of
قائدة
Gaza.
مرابطة
They
بدفاع
remain steadfast in their
أرضها وعرضها
defending their honor and their
نيابة عن
flag
الأمة
on
جمعاء.
behalf of the entire Ummah.
اليوم
Today,
وفي صبيحته
on
وفي
this morning,
سيناريوهات للاحتلال
in
المندهر عن هذه الأرض،
scenarios of this occupation,
أن يعيد تقسيم
the
معسكر جباليا
occupation wanted to redivide the Jabalia
إلى
camp
التهجير
in preparation of displacing people
والقتل،
and killing people.
لتصل تلك الرسالة من أبناء أخي
But
الصغار
this message was received by my nephews, the young nephews who lost their father,
وقالوا
Muaz, and they said, we are steadfast on the north of Gaza, just like our father and just like his grandfather and the grandmother. This is a message from the young children of Gaza. And we started to hear messages after messages that the resistance in the north of Gaza sniped a soldier during this time. And we are hearing also that the resistance in the north of Gaza, that this Israeli occupation, it claims that it eliminated those in the north of Gaza. They will be from the neighborhoods of this camp. We have people who have Gaza, and that every second 1,000 leader is born, 1,000 mujahid will be born. Those mothers, they do not breastfeed their kids a normal milk. They breastfeed them the milk of honor and dignity, and Gaza will remain unbroken. I want to tell you that my sister Ilham was holding the coats of the leaders. She is 15 years old, and she was planning how to take revenge from this occupation. The occupation killed Ilham, and only part of her shoulder and her jaw remained from her body. She evaporated. This heroine, this amazing girl. We will remain in the surrounded Gaza and in our land. Thank you for listening. I was with you, Tariq bin, son of Ziyad, Abdel Qadir, Mustafa, who was killed as a martyr. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us. Thank you. I have a friend in this room. His brother is the one who is running the medical operations. He was bombed by the Israeli occupation in Jabalia. In Jabalia camp. Mr. Ahmed Abu he is one of the businessmen in the Gaza Strip. Mr. Ahmed, stand up. Stand up, please.
الله يحفظه يا رب ويبارك فيه وبإذن الله أن يعافي ويشافي
hopefully I hope that his brother will be healed, and may God bless you. Now we will start. Mr. Ziad Abu Nakhla, from the General Secretariat of the conference, is going to tell us about the question of the conference. In the name of God, all praise be to God and the Prophet of God. Thank you, Mr. Tariq, for this, for the nice words and for this presentation. And I pledge that we will remain faithful to your family and all the families of the martyrs of Gaza, and we will remain on the same path. So this is jihad. We either prevail or we become martyrs. I'm going to present to you the question of the conference issue and key themes that is going to lead all of the discussions of the remaining of today and the second day, and they will be on different themes that are going to be discussed deeply with you in order to come at the end of the conference with the new declaration of this seventh conference. Now, the issue of the seventh conference is Palestine is the lever of civilization and renaissance. This forum has been always concerned with the question of the renaissance of the Islamic and Arab Ummah, and it is discussing the deeper problems of the structure and of the revival movements, especially the relation between the political practice and political approach and their perception of the state in order to get overcome this revolutionary or civilizational issue in order to get rid of the failures of the past and to achieve what is needed for the present time. It is very clear today or common today that the world has come to a state of transformation after so many important issues that affected the capitalist world that has been in power since World War II, especially after the problems that this order has been seen, including the COVID-19, the financial crisis, and all the problems that affected the economy and the code of conduct that is against the inherent nature of the people. And the war that started since 2022 and which is threatening this world order under the leadership of the United States to continue its influence on the world. And then the flood of Al-Aqsa that was a point of departure or a juncture in history for the international and the regional issues, and brought back the Palestinian issue at the table of the discussion for politicians, researchers, academics, and it imposed itself to find a solution for all of it. And it has created or motivated a global movement, and it has become the narrative of the free world under the slogan Palestine is free from the river to the sea. And it is also pushing for a new world order after the world order that we are living in is using double standards very explicitly, and it also showed the false system of the human rights of international organizations and this world, and it stopped the normalization train with Israel. The flood of Al-Aqsa, with all the results that it showed, opened a deep discussion and genuine discussion about the relation of the Palestinian cause with the civilization revival in the Ummah, and it made it the gate for getting rid of the dominance of the West under the title or the rule that the liberation comes up from national efforts, and the real change for sure will go through dismantling the Zionist project, its consequences, and dismantling its functional role as an advanced point for the West in our region. It was very clear how the Western countries, under the leadership of the United States, wanted to defend this racist regime and supported it with all the military, financial, and intelligence efforts, and provided political and diplomatic cover for all the horrendous crimes against the Palestinian people. This also showed the gap between the reality and the practice in our Muslim world, not only in terms of the official rulers, in terms of the relationship with Israel, but also the Islamic movements and the change movements in general, how they have the ceiling or the bar that is set by those ruling countries, and they were unable to solve this unfair situation that we have in our countries. The flood of Al-Aqsa is a historic inevitability, and it shows this. It created a new awareness about in the world about the Zionism, and it broke the prestige of the Israeli army to become a humiliated intelligence and military situation that is only supported by the United States, in addition to the disintegration of the Israeli community. And it also showed that this Palestine is a core issue for all the free people of the world. Allah wanted this inevitability to happen after the Israelis and the Zionists have become very high in their projects, and we thought that there was no space for a change. And on top of that, they deepened the dominance of the capitalist regime that is dominant, deepened the climate problems, poverty, and other problems everywhere in the world. And the Palestinian issue could have been the main victim of this, but instead it has become the actual motivator or catalyst for all of this, changing the world, and the catalyst to change all of these problems that are created by the United States. Those deep challenges put us in front of a very important question: how to transform the results of the flood to a catalyst for a change from within and from our inside our organizations, according to the verse that says that Allah will not help any people to change unless they change what they have within. And despite the inaction that we have in society and the dependency on the bars that are set by the tyrannical regimes and the superpowers in the region, so we need to change that. Based on that, the key issue of the conference and the main question of this conference is in the following: how can we transform the results of the flood to an collective or a thorough civilization and renaissance separated for the Ummah? And from that question, we have several questions. The first one is, how can we evaluate the results of Al-Aqsa flood and to put them aside from the conspiracies from the regional and international regimes against Palestine? What are the tools of dismantling the Zionist regime in Palestine and in our world, Arab, Muslim, and the internal world? And the third question: how can we crystallize a Palestinian project to be liberated from the tyrannical regimes and from the bars that are set by the tyrannical regimes in the region? What are the considerations that need to be taken into consideration and the criteria that need to be taken into consideration for bringing the Ummah together for this project? And what should be changed in the Muslim world for which Al-Aqsa flood showed that it is unable to invest in this inevitability or in this historic moment, and how can a change happen within the lens of the centrality of the Palestinian issue? All of these questions are to support the issue of the conference that we want to discuss it with you, to have in-depth discussion, and to come up out of this conference a declaration that is that matches this flood and that can break the wall of fear and the wall of cowardice that Sheikh Hassan Ould Al-Dadou said that has been broken, and that the entire nation can engage in this civilizational track or trajectory that has put the Ummah in an advanced point in its ability to change if it genuinely engaged in this flood and reach the ceiling that it have created and stop the inaction and silence that is imposed by the tyrannical regimes in our region, and to reject tyranny and Zionism, because they go hand in hand, and our countries cannot be liberated unless we engage with this the flood. So the flood will continue, and the tyranny will be eliminated, and victory will be for all of those who are performing jihad. Thank you very much, and we will close this opening session, and we will get back to this room at 2 o'clock with the first session. It will be in English, and it will be facilitated by or moderated by Dr. Sami Al-Aryan, with a very distinguished group that came from the United States and from other countries to take part in this approach to dismantle Zionism and to create a new trajectory in this world that is fair for all people living in this free world. Thank you very much. So we will back here in this room at 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, and peace be upon you.